All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Akshay, and I'm a sales engineer at Decisions. And this is a lunch and learn session, which we have every day from Monday to Thursday. Here we'll try to answer your questions and have discussions on things that you would like to learn more about decisions. So we'll give a couple of more minutes to more people to join in, and you would be able to see the chat and also the Q&A in the Zoom. Feel free to drop in your questions and I'll have a look at them and we'll talk about them. Now, I do have a pre-submitted question from Megan. And as I said, if you have more questions coming in, feel free to use the chat option. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch into my Decision Studio and we'll look at that question that Megan has asked. Hey, Megan, would you be able to speak if I have any questions regarding your question?
Yeah, of course.
All right, perfect. Just wanted to know you have the access. Awesome. So the question that I got from you is that you have a form on which you have a drop down like this, and there are some dependent fields on this drop down. And you were saying that if you choose other and you enter in data like in this field, this should get saved back into this drop down. What was that the question, Megan?
Yes, that was the question.
Okay. So would you like to store only, let's say in this simple case that I was just building before this call, there's a drop down of all the user IDs, and depending on the ID that you select, we can auto populate the first name and the last name. Now you can have more fields as you might have in your case. But if we select other, it gives me an option and nothing gets filled because it's not saved in the database or in the list, which is fetching this drop down. Now, in your case, would you like to only save the user ID that you provide in the in this text field, or you also want to save the data which is dependent on that ID?
I think I would also want to save the data.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. So next time when you put in the new ID, it also auto-populates this data. Okay,
Mhm.
so how that'll happen is you can maintain a database. So as of now, how are you fetching these details in your dropdown? Is it coming from um, a string list or is it coming from a database fetch?
It's coming from a database that
Okay,
already exists in our company.
perfect. Awesome. So I have a sample, data structure which I created for this example. So if I quickly show you that, what it has is the user ID, first name, and the last name. And I think your database would also look pretty much the same in terms of the relation that you might have with the drop-down value and also the fields that it populates. Now, it can be in the same database or it could be in different database. That should not be a problem. But in this case, you see, I have organized them in a way that user ID, first name, and last name, kind of are in a table. So what you can do is you can go into your form and first, a couple of things you can do. First would be to create a data flow or an active form flow that'll help you to show or hide this field in case you select others from the dropdown. And something that you would have done is that the details in this dropdown would come from a flow. Like in this case, you get an option to select static, data name, or flow. So in this case, I'm using a flow. And inside this flow, I'm just fetching the list of all the user IDs from that database. In this case, it's called user ID table, but in your case, it would be something else. And once you have kind of fetched those, IDs from the database, you can append an item to that list. In this case, it's just other because it might not be in the database. You can just append that so that you get all the lists as well as the other as the item in the dropdown. Now, once that's done, you can set up some active form flows. In this case, I use a couple of legacy. One would be to hide or show that text field in this case. So all I do is check that if the user ID equals other, if it's other, we would like to show that text field on the form. And the second active form flow or the data flow could be to populate that data, which you would already be doing as well. In this case, we just check, what the user ID is. And if it's there in the database, we would fetch the details like the first name, last name, or all the attributes that you might have. Otherwise, we just pass out the null values. So far, so good. Are you able to do that till here, Megan, or is this helping?
Yeah, I have something like that already. It's
Okay.
so basically the form, if the user selects a checkbox,
hmm
they will fill out that information manually.
hmm
So like I have like a legacy rule for that
Correct.
already. So
Awesome.
I I guess I'm like where you mentioned with the fetch entities.
hmm
So I guess mm, how would I say? Like so the manual information, like
hmm
with the fetch entities, like take that if it's not already in the database,
Correct.
and
Correct. Yeah.
then okay.
Yeah, I think so far so good. Just wanted to be on the same page so far. So you're right. So we would just fetch the user IDs. And in this case, it would only give me user IDs which are already existing. Anything that I add here when I run this form in the flow, we can just pass in that user ID, also fill in these details like first name and last name, and we will check. If the user ID is other, then we'll just populate this data in the database. So I'll show you in the form now what can happen. Now you would have a flow where you would be running this form for sure. And it may look something like this. There's a form, there's a submit action to that. And the only thing that I'm doing here is I'm just checking if the user has selected others in that dropdown. So in case they have selected others, then we would want to add the new user ID along with these details back into the database from which we are fetching those records in the first place. So you see, if it's true, then we save it. Otherwise, the process or your flow can go, just the way it needs to go with the other steps executing. Now, this is a step that we use to, add a row in the database. So as you can see here, I have mapped this to the enter user ID, the first name and the last name. So let me debug that so it makes more sense here. Now, when I debug, let's say I have these IDs coming from the database, 101, 102, 103, and other is something that I'm just appending. It's not coming from the database. Now, if I select any of these fields, let's say I go with user 102, it will auto-populate the fields for me, just like how you would expect it. Now, if somebody selects others because they don't find that user ID or that value, we would show them this extra field here. Let's say I put in 104 and it doesn't populate anything for me because it's new value. So we can take in the first name and the last name, and we can click submit. So what happens in this case is we first save that data and then the process keeps moving. Now, the next time I come back to my form and execute this flow, I would be able to see 104. And when I select 104, I can see the first name and the last name coming from the database. Does this help? Megan, any questions on this?
Yeah, that makes sense so far.
Yeah. So this is the use case that you're trying to solve, right? Or is anything else that I'm missing here?
Yeah, I think I got it so far.
Oh yeah.
So like once it gets added,
hmm
that like for that flow, it gets added to the data structure or yeah, the data
Database.
structure database.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Because it gets added to the database the moment I click submit, if I choose others. And the dropdown that you see here on the form is anyway, fetching these details from that database directly. So I add here in the flow, and then when it fetch it, the next time I run it, it'll have the new IDs, just like user 104 in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so then like for the future,
Mhm.
a user like puts in a new
Mhm.
or like submits a new form that should show in the drop down or it should be
Exactly.
searchable. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if I, just execute that workflow again, you would see 104 will already be there because it's added in the database now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Sounds good.
Awesome.
Um,
And if you need, I can also send you a quick, zip of this project, the simple flow, if that helps you as well.
yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Awesome, no problem. Right. So I see a question from VT. Decisions is not picking up CSS on mobile version of portal/dashboard. Um, so VT, are you accessing uh, like the same version of the dashboard on the mobile as well, just like how you're doing on the desktop version? Like everything remains the same?
Yeah, and I have seen that there is no way to create a specific mobile version of the
Mhm.
dashboard, just like you can for the forms.
Forms, right, that's correct.
And also, for some reason, the mobile version does not support JavaScript controls as well. So
Mhm.
I was looking for something to try to force it to like a tablet version or desktop version.
Mhm.
And I think it's not possible because, well, before it redirects to mobile version, you need to change some metadata in header.
Mhm.
And because it's not supported in JavaScript, it's not doable. So I have a feature request to create an option to disable mobile version until
Mhm.
uh, we will support like multiple controls that are not supported, JavaScript and CSS.
Okay, got it.
And also, I do have another question.
Sure.
So on the report, when you can launch a flow
Mhm.
like from the cell, from the
Correct,
link,
correct.
is there a way to use an image, like an icon, instead of just text?
Um,
Because
see,
you can use image to open URL, but there is no
mhm.
option to launch the flow like a pop-up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have used only like numericals or the strings. Let's see if there's an option to add that. Just checking if there's any image option because we can, like this.
And another thing is that
Mhm.
this is the HTML merge text editor. If that was like a plain text editor, I think you would be able to just insert HTML there. But because it's the HTML merge text,
Mhm.
it will strip out the HTML.
Yeah. So you're saying that if it was a normal text editor, you're able to add an image there?
Yeah, you can just insert the HTML code and it will interpret that. But because this is HTML merge
Mhm.
text, it will strip out HTML text.
Okay. Let me check. Let me take a quick, snapshot of something. Yeah, somehow it doesn't render that image,
Can you open up DevTools and inspect if it's even there or it's?
the image.
Yep.
Yeah, one sec. Let me check if it's still there. Yeah, it's still there. I don't know if I see it here.
If you click that icon that is left side from the mobile switch.
This one?
No, the left one.
This
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Okay, one sec. Let me change it back.
And then hover over that click. Can you click that icon again so it's blue?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, now that's the link.
This is all I see actually, just the
Mhm.
text, you see.
Yep.
Hmm. So what kind of image are you planning to have here?
So for example, like if it's edit like a pencil or if it's
Oh, I
delete
see.
like a trash can.
I see what you mean. Let's see. I'm wondering, in the past, I might have used a button or something on a report, and like if we have a button, it's easy to kind of put an image on that rather than on a link, like in this case. Hmm. Yeah, actually, this is a good use case. I'll just note it down and I'll maybe check around internally. And if I find something, I'll drop an email to you, VT. How does that sound?
Good. One of the
Okay.
solutions that I found, if you
Mhm.
scroll down,
Yeah,
you can mention the CSS class
correct. Hmm.
and it will pick up CSS, but I'm gonna play around with that. I was trying to use an icon, pencil icon from the
Mm-hmm.
decisions, and it
Correct.
doesn't work. It returns 404 because probably report renders earlier than it
Hmm.
can download that image from the local. I don't know
Correct.
why.
Right.
I will try to play around with font also, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll also check around, if somebody has, used something like that in any of their projects. So if I get an answer, I'll drop an email to you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I think there was a hand raised from somebody on the attendees list. If you're still there, feel free to unmute yourself or drop your question in the chat. I'll be happy to address that. In the meantime, I want to mention that we have a session on 2nd, and where we'll talk about our product roadmap. So Eric from the product management team will be taking us through, the upcoming features and how does the future look like for Decisions platform. I see Alex saying you put question on the chat, but I still don't see it, Alex. Let me check.
Okay, it's on the chat, but I can repeat it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Alex. Somehow I don't see your question in chat. Okay,
Okay, so let me put it in the QA as well,
sure.
so you have it all.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not very well formulated, but
Okay,
so
yeah.
here's the thing.
Mhm.
I have a process,
Okay.
what sometimes is called an extension flow or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have forms that I want to use to assign a task to people in groups, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when I do that, the first thing I do is I say that the form is an assigned form, not an insertion form,
Mm-hmm.
and it opens up a few options there
Mm-hmm.
to allow me to fill in additional information. Like, for example, extension type name,
Mm-hmm.
assign to, assignment name, and assignment action name.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a few questions. One is, what is extension type name used for?
Mm-hmm.
Because in all the examples, I see it left blank.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think I left it blank and the assignment is created. So I don't
Correct.
know what that is for.
Okay.
Second is, assignment name and assignment action, they seem to be very similarly named.
Correct.
What are those two things for?
Sure.
And sorry, and let me just say,
Sure.
I'm tired. There's also a section in the properties called assignment setup.
Mm-hmm.
And when I click on it, there's another variable called accounts and groups,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't have what I put in the assigned to field above. So I'm confused which one is for what.
Okay.
And sorry, that's it.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So we can look at these questions. So let me create a quick flow here. I'm gonna have a form here. Awesome. So this is a form, and let's assign that. And you would see all these properties right here, right? So a couple of things here. So assignment name is the name that you can give to this particular assignment, so that if you are reporting on all the assignments that you have in your process, so people can see what this assignment is for. And assignment action essentially is the name that you will see when you right click on that assignment. So that it could be something like review form or perform task, or it could be, enter data, fill data. So it's like an action that you have to take for why this form is assigned to you. So we can take something like, let's say, fill user details. And for the assignment name, we can always use HTML text so that you're able to merge something that's flowing in the flow along with the actual, static information you want to name about. So let's extend flow data and maybe pick something from here. We can take start time.
Sorry. My problem is not how to fill in data there, but rather when is each of these two things used and what for?
Correct, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
I'm just filling it up so that you can see what's the difference between these two in action, right? So now what I've done is I have given assignment name and assignment action name, which is fill user details, and let me assign that to myself, just for the ease. Now let me debug that and make create an assignment for myself. So now you see it has been assigned to me. So if I go into my inbox, so I should see the assignment there, and there you will see the difference between assignment name and the action name. So right here, let me kind of expand this here. All right, so these are all the assignments. So the flow which I just ran, this form, right now it's assigned to me. It'll move further only when I work on it. Now, this information is used like this. So you see new assignment at the time, which I have specified. So this is the assignment name, okay? So that I know what this is. Like this is for uploading documents, this is review, and this is the name of the assignment which I just created. Now, when I right click on that, I should be able to see that action, which I'm not sure why I'm not seeing here. Let me run that one more time. So you see, for this assignment, I raise it again, and now it's called new assignment at date and time. Time changed because I ran that once again. So this is used to name the assignment, right? So in the report, users can see what this is. But when you right click on that, you would actually be able to see the action. Now that's the assignment name, and this is the action name. Now, when I click on this, the user will know, okay, for this assignment, this is what I have to do. That is to fill user details. So they click on the form and they would be able to, work on the file.
Got it.
Once they, yeah.
And interestingly that it didn't appear when you were debugging, because you just, this time you just run it, right? Not through the debugger.
Yeah, because in the debugger, it was already open. Like I was in debugger, so it kind of assumed that I'm working on that assignment. That's why I closed that and ran it again. So let me run that one more time. And when I do that, you would see a notification on right-hand side that a task has been assigned to me. And that task can be seen as the assignment name. As you can see, new assignment at this date, this time. And when I go back into my inbox, I would see the assignment right here. And when I click right, I can see the action. So this is the difference between the assignment name and the action. Does that help?
Perfect.
Okay.
Totally.
Awesome.
And by the way, is it correct to say that even if you start doing something here, but you don't finish filling in the form, the task will remain, right?
It will remain. It's absolutely right. So I just close that and I come back again, it's still there. So if I close this again and I give a quick refresh just for you to see, and I come back, it'll always be there. So it'll disappear only when I've worked on the assignment successfully.
Right, got it. Perfect,
Yeah.
thanks.
Awesome, no problem. Now going back, let's look at some other controls that we have there. So I go back in the assignment form flow. Now, this is some of the basic settings that you have to kind of enter in order to set up an assignment, like in this case. But if you want to do more with the assignments, because there are a lot more that you can do, you can assign it to groups, you can put escalations, you can remind somebody through an email that an assignment is waiting for you, please work on that. So if you have a use case to involve all those things, that's when you would go to assignment setup. Now, when I click on this, I would be able to see more setup properties for the assignment. Now, starting from the top.
Interesting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So here's the one that, first of all, it struck me as odd. The first field in from data accounts and groups doesn't show that you have already filled in
Correct.
that with your name, right?
Right. Because this is a list of strings, and here it just takes in, just like a single. It can have more, but it's kind of easy. Like if you add, let me add one more person here. I can add more people, and it'll keep giving me options. So this is kind of dynamic in nature, but you can choose to not.
Group here as well.
You can put groups here as well. Yeah. So for
They're
example, like business rule authors. So
Yeah.
it's just, I think, easy and handy way. This is something that I always use when I'm building something in decisions. But this is just like, if you want to set up everything here, you can do that here. And when you want to assign it to people, you can just select from flow if you already have some list in the flow, because when I click on that, it'll give me an option to pick a list which is already there. So there could be a use case when you are dynamically finding the list of users who should approve that assignment. So you can just map it right there, or you can just kind of build a list of people that you want this assignment to go individually, just like how it was happening outside in this.
But why doesn't it see the names that you have already assigned there? Because if you were to build an array or put constant, it should see those three things that you put already, shouldn't it?
I mean, I think it's slightly different, like the way it works. So, I mean, I would see them as two different controls to set up the same thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what does this thing do now? Does one override the other? Do they do the union of the names, of the list of names, the intersection, and why two, for that matter?
Right. So let's see that, because I use them exclusively.
Yeah.
So let's see. Now I click done. Okay. Okay, so it doesn't exist in my system. Let's try with admin. So in this case, I think it'll also go to admin. It'll also get assigned to admin. So it's going to be the union of both the things that you kind of enter here and inside the settings area. Right. And some other things here. So these are all metadata about an assignment. So if you ever want to report on an assignment, you can do that. So in decisions, when you're building reports, you can also track all the assignments that there are in the flight or which have been completed. So if I add that source here, I will search for assignment data source. Now in this, you would see that there are a lot of metadata about the assignment, like the assignment ID, when it was started, who is it assigned to, and all of these things. And along with that, it has a lot of metadata about, the assignment description, assignment type, and all those things can be set up here, as you can see. So these help when you have a use case, when you want to report on, high priority assignments, you want to see the description about that assignment. So you can use these fields as a metadata for that assignment. And then there are furthermore things you can set up: the start date, the warning date, late date, escalation, expiry date for an assignment, so that you are able to kind of loop it back, or maybe send reminders to people. If I select that, it's going to give me, when do I want to escalate, and I can add my flow here for that assignment. So yeah.
So one thing,
Sure.
the assignment roles.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between that and groups that you can put?
Let me see, because I have not used these myself. Let's go to the security settings, because in security you can create groups and accounts. So let me quickly check about the roles as well.
You search for the word role, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't see it here. Name sessions. Yeah, so I'm not really sure. I never had to use roles, so I'm not 100% sure on this one. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I saw that there is
Okay,
an
there you
article.
go. I think there. Yeah, please go ahead. You were saying something, Alex.
No, I just found an article in the documentation about it. I'll post it in the
Awesome.
chat.
Yeah.
That's probably what. Designer. Oh, this designer, analyst, manager. These are the roles. When you are in account creation, you design. So you define. No. Sorry, no.
Okay.
It's something similar to groups, but not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm able to kind of map it to one of the roles which is existing in this instance, HL7 technical error role, but I never had to kind of use roles so far.
Looks like it is something that you would use exclusively to group people around assignments,
Right.
irrespective of their roles.
Right.
So it's to give a different type of I imagine that is to giving a different type of granularity for the permission. But again, I haven't read the article, so I don't know.
Got it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
By the way, if you allowed a suggestion, fields in the properties of the form where you go with the assignment setup and say who's the assignee and the assigned to field, should be one. There shouldn't be two places. Yeah, these assigned to that you're showing, and the assigned groups and should be the same damn thing.
Right.
And if you put it in two places, at least let's be sure that what you put in one is visible in the other and vice versa, right?
Right.
Excuse me. Because otherwise it's unnecessarily confusing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, Alex, for the
This was very
questions. Yeah.
useful.
No
Thank you so
problem.
much.
Yeah, absolutely. All righty. All right. Do we have any more questions from the attendees? Right. All right. So I'm going to hang out here on the link for a couple of more minutes. And if there's more question, I'll be happy to take that in. So you can drop your email here in the chat, Megan. If not, I think I'll be able to get it from the team who set this up. And from VD, is there a way to remove all text from count on report grouping and just have a number? Yeah, let's see that. Sure, Alex. Let me do that. It's pretty much going to be the same link, is what I believe. But let me see. I'll also post the link to the chat. Awesome, perfect. Somebody already did. Awesome. There you go. VD, is this what you're talking about? You just want to see like number and and not the text around that? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do believe if you remove if you edit that count is active,
Yeah.
and if you remove that display name, it will
Right.
still leave that column.
Okay. What if we just put like a blank there? Okay, it doesn't like that.
Oh, cannot even do that. Yes, so that will, even if you remove that dot, column will.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Mm. Okay, I think this kind of looks good, but so your kind of use case is that you just don't want to see anything other than the numeric there, right?
Yeah, so I can do something like total or count,
Yeah.
but yeah, but ideally it would be good if you can just have a
Right.
number there.
Right, right, right.
Or maybe as a feature request, do like a text merge there and say there is a variable of that sum, and you
Uh-huh.
can do some text, or you can just, input that number into parentheses or something like that.
I see what you're saying, yeah. But I think as of now, this is how it's designed to kind of give a display name. So, you can see what count this is.
Mhm.
But I tried to remove it totally. It won't let me do that. But I think the best next thing is to put a hashtag that kind of indicates a number, and then that's how it looks.
Okay.
But I'll check on this as well. I mean, if this is by design like that, or they would look to kind of change that to display only number as a possibility.
Yeah, I would like to see like a feature request where there is some flexibility on like
Right.
designer can choose what they want to display.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Is there anything else, team, you would like to discuss or talk about before we wrap up the session? Let's give a couple of more minutes before we kind of wind that up. All right, since there are no more questions, I think we are good to wrap up the session. And just to kind of summarize that up again, we have these sessions every week, Monday to Thursday, where we help you with the questions that you might have and also the suggestions you might have. All right, I think with that, we are good to close. Adrian, if you're on the call, over to you.